please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, please call the roll.
Murphy.
Here.
Phipps.
Here.
Rediger.
Here.
Straley.
Here.
Bryant.
Here.
Calderon. Here. Saunders.
Here. All right, section 3.1 is the approval of the agenda, and I need to amend the agenda to add an item in section 9, which is the hiring of bus driver Mark Zimmerman. It will be a new business item 9.12. So can I get a motion to amend and approve the amended agenda?
I'll move.
Second.
Phipps.
Yes.
Rediger.
Yes.
Straley.
Yes.
Bryant.
Yes.
Calderon.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes.
And Saunders.
Yes. All right, section 3.2, items from closed session. The closed session minutes from July 24th, 2024. Does anyone have any amendments? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Rediger.
Yes.
Straley.
Yes.
Bryant.
Yes.
Calderon.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
And Saunders.
Yes. Item 3.3, also from closed session, is the termination of an employee. Can I get a motion to approve the termination of the employee as discussed in closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Straley.
Yes.
Bryant.
Yes.
Calderon.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
Rediger.
Yes.
And Saunders.
Yes. Section 4 is the e-learning hearing. 4.1, I am opening the hearing process to review the 3-year e-learning plan. Are there any questions?
Madam President, I don't have any questions. I just wanted to mention that I think the next item on the agenda is when we would vote to approve it, and my vote's gonna be a no. I think that this plan was originally put into place for emergency days shortly after COVID. And I voted for it then. And I think the time is right now to go back to in-person learning every time. If there's an emergency day, we can go back to the old practice of making that up at the end of the school year, just like we did for many years. I think one lesson learned from the COVID days is that e-learning is not a suitable substitute for in-person learning. And I know that it's just probably for a couple of days, but every day matters. And so I just want to explain my vote. I plan to vote no.
Is there and I'm sorry if I just don't remember this, is there a maximum number of e-learning days we would possibly have in a year before we would go to just a cancellation with a reschedule at the end of the year?
So there's a cap on e-learning at 5 days per year, and there's also a cap at 10 days, that you have to make up to 10 days, and before it would become what the state calls active God days, so then you would not be required to do a one-to-one replacement of those days.
So if we had 5 e-learning days, and we had another emergency event, weather, whatever
Yes.
the case may be, we would cancel and
make up at the back end of the schedule.
For 5 more days, potentially. Okay.
Correct. Well, yes. It would be our 11th day that we would be waived by the state to not make up.
Understood, I
Yes.
just, okay.
What is the concern with having them at the end of the year? Is it that they aren't productive days?
So it's after state testing, it's an add-on to the schedule. What we'll see potentially is that families who have made foundation or life plans, assuming that school ends at a particular time, will not attend, then goes to every absent for a student, whether it's excused or unexcused, is an absence that falls to our truancy rate. And so, it's the value of those days at that point in the year also become degraded. Versus the on-time learning that we can try to provide with content for those days that is close to the content within the curriculum. So as the teachers are looking at when do we have these types of days, we generally know it's December, January, February, so the content that is created by the staff members is relative to what they would be doing in the curriculum or supporting things that we know that kids typically struggle with and they need a refresher on, so they're getting that content there versus content in June.
Yeah, I think my only concern about what you just mentioned regarding the content is some of the feedback I heard from parents, particularly at the elementary level, was related to concerns that the material that was being sent home wasn't relevant to what they're learning currently, and more practice on things that perhaps they learned many months ago, or things of that nature where they felt like they weren't actually advancing their learning during those days, if that makes sense.
So it would be inappropriate to provide new content to students without the academic support in the classroom. So spiraling content from the past is actually supporting student learning. And we have all of the data to show where kids traditionally have needed that extra support with specific concepts that are harder to master within the classroom. So that content is looking at refreshing mastery on some of those key concepts that might be utilized in upcoming lessons, establishing that foundation. And like I just said too, like we're guessing as to when those days are going to happen. We're still trying to make it relevant and valuable and readdress those things that historically have posed problems for kids.
And Jen, do you have anything to add, since it does say you're supposed to be here to answer our questions, so I wanna make sure that you have that space if you need it.
I don't. I think Dr. Lehman did very well.
Okay, thank you. Just wanna be sure that you have that space if you need it. Any other questions?
I guess I did have one, and I know I've already said I'm gonna vote no, but one of the sticking points for me in particular, and don't get me wrong, this is not a criticism of the plan that we have before us. Like I said, this has been put in place during the previous administration, and actually voted for it then. But I guess I have two questions. First of all, why would it be asynchronous versus live instruction? When we've already been down this road during COVID, we know that in real-time instruction is better than asynchronous. And then why would we be approving this for a 3-year period? Is that something in the rules or statutes we have to do on a 3-year period versus just doing it on a year-by-year basis?
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't write the agenda items, I didn't know my name was up there.
Oh, sorry.
So, really, it's an equity issue for us, the live instruction versus the asynchronous. We don't have devices that go home with all of our students, K-12 anymore. So we need to ensure that all of our students have access to that opportunity to learn, and we felt like that asynchronous was that best opportunity. It also allows families that flexibility in when they want to work with their child or sit down and ensure that they have access to it, because many parents still work during that day. Some parents want to enjoy a snow day and take their kids outside and sled. We felt like it just offered more flexibility to meet our families and our children where they were at, so that they could be able to engage with the opportunity. As far as the 3-year period, it is a 3-year waiver that the state offers, which is why we just applied for a 3-year waiver.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
just say I'm also not a big fan of e-learning, but I understand the benefit of, being able to tackle emergency days with e-learning. I would always prefer in-person learning. We did definitely find that, it's more effective than e-learning. But I understand that, there are drawbacks to adding days at the end of the year that aren't necessarily, that they are not necessarily meaningful days, and so for that reason, I would support the renewal of the, e-learning plan.
Any other questions or comments? All right, I need an actual motion to close this. Okay, can I get a motion to close the e-learning hearing?
So moved.
I'll second.
Calderon,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Phipps,
And this is just for closing?
closing,
Yes.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
and Saunders.
Yes. All right, section 4.2 is the approval of the BCSD e-learning plan. So, can I get a motion to approve the 3-year e-learning plan renewal as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Murphy,
Yes.
Phipps,
No.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
No.
Calderon,
Yes.
and Saunders.
Yes. Section 5, communications. 5.1, we have some recognitions today. Up first, we are recognizing our NIETOC speech students. Are they here or their parents here?
Coaches are here.
Their
Yeah,
coaches
coaches.
are here,
Yeah.
okay.
So to be fair, they are both freshmen in college right now, and were unable to probably attend tonight, so.
Of course.
So we posted some information about their accomplishments. I'll just summarize maybe like a sentence or two from them, but open it up for you all if you wanna say anything glowing about them. They're not here, but we post, and so we can let them know, and they can go see and hear all the things that you have to say. So, Anna Swanner was a 3-year member who qualified for nationals 3 years straight, qualified for the IHSA state tournament 2 years in a row, and qualified for the National Individual Event Tournament of Champions, which is what NIETOC stands for, 2 years in a row. I'll just read the whole thing. During her senior year, she placed 6th at state in extemporaneous speaking and made it into the octofinal rounds in extemporaneous speaking, both at this place and nationals. She has been a true powerhouse for the Titan speech and debate team. And the second one is Camden Wood Morris, who was a 3-year member who has continued to grow in her talents both in radio speaking and congressional debate. She has represented the team numerous times in the IHSA State Series as a radio speaker. During her senior year, she placed well in congressional debate as seen through tournament awards and championships and through qualifying for nationals her senior year. Additionally, she tried out for the Western Kentucky University Forensics team, which is a college speech and debate team. She made the team and has been awarded a scholarship to compete for the WKU Hilltoppers. So we will give them a round of applause. And then allow the coaches to say something if they would.
It just was wonderful to coach them because it truly was the capstone event for our team to watch them both perform so well. For Anna Swanner, she probably has placed almost all of the records that she could, bar a couple from a few years ago. She set them all, and I knew when she joined as a sophomore she was going to be a powerhouse, and she was. And for Camden, it was a swan song because this is what she wanted from the very beginning, and she got there, and then she made the team that is technically the best in the nation right now, so there we go.
I also wanted to point out too that both of them have done a lot of service outside of the speech team, and both of them won awards, didn't they?
Yep.
They both won plaques and service awards through NSDA, and so it's been, I think part of their leadership has really helped the younger students, and I feel like some of them are really gonna pull up the steer, and they're gonna do their best because of their leadership, so it's exciting.
Thank you
Thank
both.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry,
Go,
no,
no,
I
go
talk too much sometimes.
Go ahead.
We've established this already tonight. So, but thank you both for your coaching of these tremendous students and speech team members. Obviously your leadership helped them in their successes, so thank you for that.
All right, thank you so much. We will get this. I know. Yep. And then also in this section, we are recognizing Ken Carter, who will receive or has already received the W.P. Sanford Award. And I'll just read a little bit about what he said. He said, when I look at who has received this award in the past, I am humbled and shocked to be placed in such company. I'm honored to even be considered for this award, and a little bit about it. It's awarded through the Illinois Communication and Theater Association. He has not won it yet. It will be held on September 19th through the 24th at Harvard College. And a little bit about the award. Sanford served as president in 1930 and 31. And this award recognizes long, exceptional, and distinguished service to the Illinois Communication and Theater Association over an extended period of years. The recipient may also have made significant contributions to the field of speech and theater, but must have been in the profession for at least 15 years and be a current and active member of the Illinois Communication and Theater Association. The Sanford Presidential Award shall include a life membership in ICTA, including convention fees. So we want to congratulate him, recognize him, and any other words?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you have any other words, or you?
No,
Okay.
I've got to now figure out how to give an acceptance speech to all those people with their doctorates.
I mean, obviously that degree didn't matter because, right? Like you're there, you're the expert and honoree, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Let us know how it goes.
I will.
As the speech coach, we have no doubt that you're
Oh,
going to be very
speak. It's just the amount of critiques that come back later.
That will
Perfect. All right, section 5.2 is an opportunity for visitors to address the school board concerning any agenda topic. Hearing none, we will move on. Section 6 is consent agenda items. Is there anything that anyone would like to pull or any discussion? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
Phipps,
Yes.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes. Section 7 is personnel consent agenda items. Is there anything that anyone would like to pull or any discussion? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
I will move. Second.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes. I do want to make one statement about that section. section, and in there is a resignation for Max Willett, who is the middle school track and field coach. And so I just want to personally thank him for all of the work that he's done in developing the athletes at that level. It has been a tremendous feeder program to the success of the high school program. I know because my own child ran in middle school, and so I just want to really thank him for his service on behalf of the district. I know Max personally, so I know it was a really difficult decision, though he definitely felt like it was time and in the best interest of the students. So I just want to spend a second, and more than a second, I guess, and acknowledge the tremendous impact that he's had on my own child, but also I think our track and field program at the middle school level. So.
I would echo Tiffany's comments. I had 3 kids, lucky enough to work under Max at the middle school, in the middle school track program, and if you aren't aware of how large that program is, I don't think you can appreciate how much work must go into the trainings that happen there daily. So it's not, he doesn't do it alone, but he doesn't have nearly enough help for the number of athletes they have, and yet he does it with a smile on his face every single day, and the athletes are thrilled to work under him. At least that's my experience. I guess I shouldn't speak for all of them, but in my experience they are, and so we've been lucky to have him, so I thank him for his service as well.
All right, section 8 is finance. 8.1 is FY 2025 tentative budget presentation.
Hello. I would just like to say thanks for scheduling all of the directors to speak tonight when there's a nationally acclaimed speech coach back there. That is not intimidating at all. This presentation will outline the key components of our school district's budget. Our revenue streams include property taxes, state funding, and federal grants. Major expenditures cover instruction, support services, building maintenance, debt repayment, and other operational costs. We developed this budget by carefully assessing our district's needs, forecasting income, and prioritizing expenses. Several challenges impact this year's budget, including rising costs, declining enrollment, and increased staff salaries and benefits. Despite these challenges, we've taken a conservative approach to revenue projections and a cautious approach to expenditures to safeguard our district's financial stability. Effective budget management is essential for student success and the overall health of our school district. Negative activity within certain funds can primarily be contributed to substantial capital expenditures, contingency allocations, and a conservative revenue projection coupled with increased expenditures. It is imperative to maintain fiscal prudence as continued levy growth and sustained grant funding are essential to avoid potential budgetary constraints. And we will talk revenue. Overall, the district anticipates relatively stable revenue in all funds for the upcoming fiscal year. While some revenue streams are projected to increase, notably through property tax levies, these gains will be counterbalanced by declining federal funding and lower investment income. Additionally, Fund 20 revenue will decrease due to the end of the Federal Relief Fund and absence of a prior year insurance recovery. State funding and Fund 40 transportation is also budgeted to decline due to a reduction in categorical payments. Although the district is eligible for 4 categorical payments, a cautious approach has been adopted, assuming only 3 will be received. To mitigate potential financial risk, revenue projections have been conservatively estimated. District revenue is primarily derived from property taxes, constituting 61% of the total federal grants and other state funding, contributing 5% and 4% respectively. The district's evidence-based funding allotment accounts for 15% of revenue, while the remaining 15% is generated from various local sources. Overall, the district anticipates increased expenditures across all funds, primarily driven by salary increases, benefit increases, and rising operational costs. Fund 10 will experience increases in salary and benefits. Fund 20 will require additional funds to address inflation as well as increased salary and benefits. Fund 40 will allocate significant resources for bus purchases while also facing rising costs. Additionally, the Municipal Retirement and Social Security Fund is projected to have increased expenses due to salary growth and rising pension contributions. The Education Fund is the cornerstone of a school district's budget, encompassing the majority of expenditures necessary for daily operations. This fund supports essential components such as teacher salaries, curriculum development, and student support services. While the Education Fund is paramount, other funds play crucial roles as well. For instance, the Debt Service Fund is dedicated to managing bond repayments, while the Transportation Fund covers the cost of student transportation. These supplemental funds, in conjunction with the Education Fund, ensure the district's comprehensive financial health and ability to deliver quality education. Salaries and benefits are a significant investment in school district success, making up about 60% of its budget. By offering competitive compensation, we attract and retain top-notch educators who are committed to our students' growth. Ball-Chatham School District is excited to share several upcoming capital projects that will significantly enhance our educational facilities and provide a more modern and comfortable learning environment for our students. The Ball-Chatham School District is committed to prudent financial management to ensure the long-term sustainability of our district. We look forward to working collaboratively to implement this budget and achieve our shared vision for educational excellence.
Someone have questions?
Well, I just was wondering if we could go back one slide to the capital projects, and if we want to, if somebody wants to kind of just talk about them a little bit in terms of timing on some of these big projects. Yes.
I'm doing what we're going to say, but he's going to tell you what we're
Because
going to do.
I just think the audience would like to know some of the timing on these.
So the track replacement's going on now. So GHS, the roof replacement's going on now. The auditorium sound upgrade goes out to bid. I think the bids are due September 5th.
Okay.
Bleacher repairs are done. Eloma ovens, Chad will speak on that. He's gonna get, hopefully, approval tonight to get that done. Playground equipment, GIS and CPS is in progress. It's about 90% complete. They're waiting on some parts. Press box replacement is scheduled to be replaced the first week in September, I believe.
Okay.
That was actually delayed a little bit. Bleacher repairs are done. Exterior security cameras, that's a Randy thing. Actually, there's an agenda item that's gonna get asked for approval tonight. CES roof replacement is 95% complete. AC upgrade, I'm going for approval tonight. Security cameras at Ball Elementary will be on Randy's agenda item tonight. And bleacher repairs at GES and cameras are Randy's on the agenda for tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. So because we're talking about them as FY 25 projects, the number of these projects started during FY 24. Do we put them in the budget for FY 25 because that's when they're being paid
That's
for?
what being paid, yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Partially in 24, and then the other, the
Okay.
closeouts in 25.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have one more. You said we're assuming 3 of the 4 categoricals.
Yes.
Is that
transportation.
different than, yes, in transportation, is that different than, past years, and if so, why, or why do we assume 3 of the 4?
No, most schools only budget 3 of the 4 because you never know with state categoricals, if they're gonna hold back any payments, it's going to be a categorical payment. So last year you did receive all 4 payments, this year we're hoping to receive another 4, but just to stay on the safe side for the budget, we only budget 3. Budget 3, hope for 4.
Got it.
Any other questions? All right, good job on your first one.
Thanks.
You're done.
I did.
All right, section 8.2, we are setting the hearing date, and that will be on September 25th, 2024, right here, at our September board meeting. section 9, new business. 9.1 is a, district-wide camera purchase.
So, as part of our ongoing security audit and upgrades, Randy met with, school administrators to determine the needs. We have cameras in all buildings, but technology is advancing, so this request is going under as a health, life, safety, request, and to make that happen, it has to have the board's approval prior to going to bid, to upgrade cameras and to add more cameras to 4 of our buildings, to continue to increase our security measures across the district. The estimation cost for this project is $135, and I say estimation because we haven't gone to bid yet, but just following the rules behind the health, life, safety fund usage, this has to be step 1 first.
So just to clarify, is the RFP published? or
It is
no?
not published.
Okay, so do we have an updated, like, tentative schedule of events then?
So upon tonight's approval, the RFP would go out. It would have to hold for the 10-day posting period. Using the Clarion, I would say it might not hit the Clarion then for 2 weeks, because I'm not up to date on their timelines for publication. So conservatively, I would say 2 Thursdays from now, then 10 days to post, and then a receiving period, and then an open bid process. Most likely bringing the bid to September's meeting, potentially, no?
I mean, it's on September with the current schedule, so that goes very close.
Oh, okay.
So probably October.
It might be October.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve the, project to install and replace cameras at the schools listed?
So moved.
Bryant,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
and Saunders.
Yes. All right, 9.2 is the approval of the diesel bid. Okay.
So we only had 2 bidders for our diesel bid, and you're going to see that the recommendation is not only for the company that came in at the lowest bid, but they were also selected because they offered a fixed rate for 24 months. Let me put the recommendation back up on the screen.
Which part?
Go back to the,
Agenda?
No, page 1.
yeah.
Okay. Any questions? You said there's 2 diesel bids? Or is there 1 diesel and then 1 gasoline?
He told me there were 2
They
bids.
were
There were 2
Okay.
bids for diesel. The lowest bid was selected,
Got
and they
it,
also
okay.
offer
Yep,
a
got
fixed
it,
rate for
okay.
24. There's only 1 for gasoline.
Correct.
Got it, okay. Just want to clarify. All right, can I get a motion to approve the diesel bid?
So, second.
Calderon,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes. All right, 9.3 gasoline bid.
There's only 1 bid.
Yep, got it. Any questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Murphy,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes. 9.4, the CES HVAC renovation project.
Speaking of projects. So we went out to bid for the air conditioning upgrade, and if you remember from our previous discussions, this is for the 100 and 200 wing, which is the 2 northernmost wings in that building. It consists of probably 25 to 27 different locations, to upgrade the air conditioning in those particular spaces, classrooms, offices, or whatever are on the north side. We did receive 4 bids. The most responsive bidder was RD Lawrence Construction Company, and they are the same company that's doing our playgrounds at GIS and CES right now. This will be the 4th project, and we get board approval that this company's done for the district since I've been here, and these guys are a stand-up company, and they've always done a really, really good job for us. So, their base bid came in at $2,760,000, that's a base bid. So we did ask them for alternate bids, and the first alternate is to air condition the gymnasium, because it's not air conditioned now. So, we want to approve the alternate, it's $168,000 to air condition the gymnasium, which is, in my opinion, a pretty fair price. The second alternate bid is expansion piping. So what they're doing, they're putting a well field in on the west side of the property over there. This expansion piping will be extra piping for projects going forward, so we don't have to dig it up again. This will, say if we do this, the 2 south wings, we can tie that system right into this. So it's actually an alternate bid. In my opinion, it's saving money in the long run is what it's doing. So 5% contingency, and this total number is $3,556,861, which includes the architectural fees and contingency. So the total project's $3,556,861. It's a big number, but it's a geothermal system, most energy efficient system that's on the market today to my knowledge. Most maintenance-free system, in my opinion. We have a number of them in the district, and they're very, very good systems, and they're virtually maintenance-free. They do a really good job.
Any questions?
I did have one question, Mike. So you said it basically saved money in the long run, so there's some payback time period. Is there any idea of like?
I don't have that information, but the architects can put that together.
I mean, probably an unfair question off the top of your head, but I just was.
Yeah, I can't answer right off the top of my head, but I mean, that's a good question. Now I can find out what that information is. Yeah, absolutely.
Next time maybe at the facilities.
Yeah,
around, we can talk about it,
absolutely.
but I'd just be curious.
Sure.
Any other questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve the renovation projects and award it to RD Lawrence Construction as presented?
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Phipps,
Yes.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes. 9.5 is out-of-state travel approvals for speech.
So athletics was a 2-year approval last year, so we won't have those this time, and we already approved out-of-state travel for show choir earlier this year, so speech is the only thing we have left. How fitting that we're doing it tonight with Mr. Carter in the audience. So he's asking for out-of-state travel to Western Kentucky in December for their one out-of-state travel, and then I think he's forecasting some greatness this year, and just going for the approval for our students to make it to, I'm not saying all those letters again, and the national tournament.
They call it NITOC.
Okay, thank
They
you.
don't even try to say all the letters.
Okay.
Any questions?
Would our student that's going to Western Kentucky potentially be a judge?
For their team, they are not allowed to judge for me. That would be awesome, but no.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the out-of-state travel for the speech team?
I'll move. Second.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
and Saunders.
Yes. Section 9.6 is MOUs with BCEA and BCESPA. Does anyone have any questions, comments?
Madam President, I did have a couple of comments.
Yep.
Thank you. So, there's a number of different MOUs on the agenda tonight with BCESPA, which is our support staff union. Just want to point out that at the beginning of this year, this board made a concerted effort to go out and to meet with staff periodically, support staff, teachers, and to listen to anything they may have to say, concerns, things that they were happy about, things that they weren't so happy about. And Laura and I, one of our meetings was with the bus drivers, and one of the concerns that they raised, we passed along to the administration, and these MOUs are designed to address their concerns. And the reason I raise that, twofold really. One, to thank the bus drivers for raising the concerns to us and informing us, but also to the administration for hearing those concerns and developing a solution to address them. Secondly, I just want to point it out because I think this is a good opportunity to identify a success story, right? When you go out and you solicit feedback and comments and concerns from the staff, I mean, the ultimate goal there is to address them and have a better work environment, right, for everyone involved. And so I would just wanted to point that out, that I think this is a perfect example of why we did those meets, and a success story study. So just want to point that out.
Anyone else? All right, can I get a motion to approve the MOUs as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Rediger,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes. 9.7 is GHS oven purchase.
Good evening. So we went out to bid for new ovens for GHS. This is to replace ovens that are past their usable life, that are no longer repairable, parts are not available. So we had 6 bidders. One bidder was disqualified because they bid the wrong product. And then another bidder was disqualified because their bid was received late. The most responsive bidder was DM Hope from Mackinac, Illinois. Total of $40,694.90. That includes everything we need to be done: delivery, installation, setup, training for staff, everything we need.
Any questions?
Just have one. Oftentimes, projects we're asked to approve, there's like 1 or 2 bidders, and that's been, I think, a shared frustration among multiple members of this board, that we sometimes feel like there's not good competition for the projects. And you had a lot of respondents to this, so I'm just curious, are you the one doing the publication for the RFP on this? And if so, are you doing anything extra that we should be modeling in other?
This was luck, I guess.
Okay.
I was shocked at where we got some of these bids from, and we were seeing from New York and Colorado and
Okay.
West Virginia. So I have no clue how they received it, but I worked with Danny to get the RFP posted, and Mike Dobbs helped me kind of lay it out to make sure we did it, but we did same timeline, time frame, posted it to the website, used the Clarion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reached out to people that I knew. I sent the RFP out to
See,
people I
and
knew.
that's the kind of work I'm asking about,
Yeah.
because I think that's what might be missing sometimes, and so I hope that we learn, like, from that experience, because I think we have current frustrations with projects that are ongoing that we're struggling to get complete, and they happen to be projects that we had 1 bidder on, or,
Yeah.
And so I just would like to see us figure out a way to expand the competition for some of these projects. And so if that's the kind of work that's happening, that's the kind of work I think needs to be happening all of the time.
Yeah, and it helps when you know who may want to bid on it, because you can reach out to anybody, and they may try to send products that aren't going to be applicable in the start. They just
Sure.
want to get their name in the door, so.
No, I appreciate that, thank you. That answers my question.
So you're telling us people in West Virginia and New York are reading the Chatham Clarion?
Someone has been assigned to do the work to find RFPs, that's for sure.
Those are people you reached out to.
I reached out to 3 different places: Hope and MJ Kellner, because I have a working relationship with them. And the third company I reached out to didn't bid. So it's just a matter of, sometimes it's a matter, like if you look at some of the ovens that these people bid on, they didn't meet all our specs anyway. So even if they had been the most responsive bidder, there's a chance we might have selected someone else, but Hope happened to spec the exact one we want at the best price.
Any other questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve the purchase of this oven?
So moved. Second.
Bryant,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes. 9.8 is the disposal of an oven.
Yeah, so this is the oven that's being replaced. You know, we're lucky to have really good staff here that can maintain this equipment. I don't know how these ovens are, but they're no longer maintainable, parts unavailable. And these ovens would be removed to put the new ones in place, so they would need to do something. Typically they're scrapped or sold somehow to recoup some money. It's nothing major, but we need those to get out of the way, so.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the disposal of the Rowan oven?
So moved. Second.
Calderon,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes. 9.9 is an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement with CACC.
So our interaction with CACC is controlled by this intergovernmental agreement, and they are wanting to move from 4 Board of Control meetings to 3 Board of Control meetings, and so it's a change of that agreement, and so it must go before the 14 school district boards that operate CACC. So, they're seeking our approval along with 13 other school districts when they have their board meetings.
Any questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve the amendment?
I'll move.
Second.
Murphy,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes. 9.10 is the second reading of press policies. As part of our ongoing review of policies, the set is coming before the board for approval. Does anyone have any amendments, corrections? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Phipps,
Yes.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes. 9.11 is a first reading of press policies, and this is for information only. We will vote on these at the next meeting. 9.12 is the amended agenda item, and that is the new hire of Mark Zimmerman. So I need a motion to hire Mark Zimmerman as a bus driver. He has 14 years of experience and will be hired at the rate of $24.05 per hour. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Rediger,
Yes.
Straley,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Calderon,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Saunders.
Yes. Section 10, communications. 10.1 is our special education department updates presentation.
Hello, for those of you who haven't met me or I haven't met you, I'm Christy Wheeler. I'm the Director of Special Education, and last year was my first year here in the district. I'm gonna go, this is not my strength, speaking in front of people. I'm gonna go through just some information, to start with here. It's like slow to react. Okay, so the numbers that you'll see here are, numbers are only part of our story. The numbers that we've pulled here to kind of try to illustrate some trends are all pulled from our December 1 child count data. That's information that we send to the state every single year, and so we try to, identify trends and things through that. So in all of the numbers for staffing and students, that's what you'll see there. One kind of item to note, which I'll highlight more at the end, our total special education students just in the 23-24 school year, we did have
From that time to the end of the year, we did have 44 students who met their IEP goals and were dismissed from special education, which is something I'll celebrate at the end. So that number at the end of this last school year was at 577. So just something that to highlight there. Staffing wise, again, these numbers are pulled from child count. Then I did want to note for speech pathologists, it says unfilled. That means it was not filled with a full-time certified staff member, but we did contract for those services. So we still provided that service to our students. It just notes that we were unable to fill that with a full-time Ball-Chatham employee. So we contracted those services. These are the number of initial evaluations we've completed over the last 3 school years. These do not include our speech-only evaluations. So these are complete evaluations of students. When we look at evaluating students, we look at 8 different areas. Academics, social emotional, communication is part of those, but these are all of our full case study evaluations. So they require the entire team. The next slide kind of shows just our move-in statistics throughout the year. It is relatively stable as far as number goes, but I do think it's interesting to note these are students who move into us over the summer, so we can't plan for those. We start planning for the next school year, usually in January. The special education administrators work with their teachers and the related service providers in their buildings to kind of project what students we know will be returning and figure out, staffing and number of classes and courses and things like that. These are the numbers we can't plan for. These students move into our district throughout the summer, and we are required by law to implement their IEP as it's written or as close to as possible. So if they come into us and they are in an alternative therapeutic day school, or they come into us with a full-time individual paraprofessional, those are services that we are required to provide because the student needs them, but they're just not things that we can plan for. The other piece that I also want to just note is Lutheran high school students became part of the Ball-Chatham School District 2 years ago when they moved over off of the frontage road over there, and they just purchased that big plot of land behind the church, and so they will continue to be part of our district. So those students, any student there that requires a special education service, speech or academics, we do get funding for, but we are required to provide support and services to those students as well. So that will be something that will now be part of our district moving forward. Most importantly, our department wins from last year. Like I said, we had 44 students who met their IEP goals and graduated from special education. A big project that we undertook were communication boards. We worked primarily with the CASE project, and there those are. You can see those I didn't mean to do that. I don't know what's happening. Those, we started with just playground communication boards, and the first day that we had one up, students were going over and using them. Their friends also will come over and use them, and in order to continue to work with our inclusive practices and making sure that students have what they need and they're able to communicate their wants and needs, we went ahead and added communication boards to all of our cafeterias across the district. And then this year, so that was last year, so you'll see pictures of both of those. Then this year, our plan is to add them to the nurses' offices in all the buildings and all of the gyms. And so we'll be working with our speech and language pathologists, also our occupational therapists and our special education teachers to continue kind of expanding this project. Our goal is to have these anywhere in the district. So not only can our students who with communication disabilities that need to use them can use them, but also their friends learn how to use them as well. Backwards. Maybe. There we go. Just a couple of some other things that we did last year that were exciting. We were able to refurbish some special education spaces in each building. There are 2 brand new sensory rooms at the intermediate school. One is in the 5th grade wing and one is in the 6th grade wing. We revamped and added things to our sensory rooms at Glenwood Elementary and Glenwood Middle School, and then we provided additional resources for classrooms at the other buildings. We reached out to teachers and basically were like, hey, we got some extra overflow money. What do your students need to help revitalize some of these spaces? And so based on what teachers requested, that was how we decided what to purchase for that. Another big win was hiring a full-time vision itinerant for this school year, Mr. Addison Graham. He's been phenomenal so far. Sharon Lang worked for SASED and then for Ball-Chatham when Chatham pulled out of SASED, for over 25 years, and that is a really hard position to fill. So we were able to secure him, and he has been awesome. He's purchasing items for our students with vision impairments that we've never seen. It's fun to have somebody who's young and kind of into all of the tech things. He just bought today a soccer ball that makes noise, so one of our students can participate in PE in their soccer unit. We also purchased brand new AAC devices. Those are communication devices. We started the year with 6 devices, and then we were able to purchase an additional 3. And then we also purchased some iPads that we turned into AAC devices using Touch Chat and Words for Life. These, again, is just to really help increase that functional communication for students. And then our alternative classrooms, the Glentonwood Elementary School had a new alternative classroom last year. And then we also, I think, revitalized the middle school one, and I just included the enrollment there. But this allows us to meet social, emotional, and behavioral needs of some of our more intensive students in the district, rather than needing to place them in private therapeutic day schools. So, any questions?
I have one.
Oh, I'm so close to walking away.
Sorry, I have to struggle with this. Okay, so obviously I noticed that our enrollment is growing year over year pretty significantly. IEP enrollment, which is the opposite of what's happening to our enrollment as a whole, where our enrollment is declining. So how are we responding to the growth in special education enrollment in terms of hiring, or have we seen a corresponding growth in our number of paraprofessionals and special education teachers and other special education staff people that I maybe am not thinking about right now?
The increases that I've noticed, and again, this is only my second year, so the increases that I noticed through the data was we have had a significant increase in the number of paraprofessional staff that we've had in the district. I believe we started, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know last year we started with 84 paraprofessionals, and that number has significantly increased by, it looked like, anywhere from 5 to 8 staff members across those years. The other area that we saw that we've seen the biggest increase, because those total numbers did include speech and language, and that was the biggest increase. We had gone from 7 full-time speech and language pathologists to 8. So where we saw those bigger increases is where we have increased staff. Obviously, we look at every year as we're projecting the number of students on caseloads. We also, I know in the new teacher's contract, there will be another opportunity for our related service providers to sit down with me to kind of look at those numbers and all the factors that go into how we determine the number of staff. Did that help answer your question?
Okay, I just guess I would ask that as a district we be really thoughtful about this, and I can see the growth from year one that in the comparison you showed, the 3-year comparison. I can see the growth in paraprofessionals. It's like 9.5 from 2021 to last year, but other areas seem like they've stayed pretty steady, like same amount of special education teachers. And so maybe just that could be just because maybe there's rationale for that because I wouldn't know why that would be without you providing me a little bit more information. But I guess I'd be just interested in a little bit more information about why we wouldn't see some of those other staff numbers jump with the pretty significant increase in, so I'm asking for that information today. Just asking for that to be something we take a look at, and information you provide the board, or Becca provides the board, related to staffing and special education students.
Unrelated to that, do you think that some of the increases, we're still in the midst of the COVID babies? So the babies who were born under COVID are just now, I have one, like just now, like kind of getting to that like kindergarten age. So we probably have a few more years
Yeah, that's.
cliff, I don't wanna call it a cliff, but a few more years of like
Of the
this
hill.
steady, yeah, of the hill.
Yes, and we're seeing that, I think even students who are not in special education are qualifying for services for like our pre-K programs. The students need in the pre-K overall, even just our general education pre-K students, are much more significant than they had been, prior to COVID. And part of that is just because lack of exposure when everybody's locked in their house and you're not at the grocery store and you're not at the restaurants and things like that. So yeah, I do agree with you that we are seeing that, and I think, in a couple more years, we'll probably see that plateau and then come back down, but yes, I do think that's part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you need this?
All right, 10.2 is our athletics update.
All right, just a quick update from last year. Roster sizes for the high school and middle school, we did Title IX countable sports, so obviously we counted cheer, dance, activities, show choir, band, speech, debate, bass fishing, all that encompasses athletics and activities. We'd probably add 100 to each column. At the bottom, we added a girls wrestling schedule, so I think we had about 3 or 4 girls only tournaments that we sent 4 girls to. This year we are adding a couple more, as we're projecting to have 3 or 4 more girls wrestlers. From last year we had 4, none graduated, so we are projecting around 8 to 10 more, or 8 to 10 total this year, so we're trying to get them some more. Based on interest surveys, we are in the infant stages of adding competitive cheer, so we are gonna try and get them in a competition or 2 this winter, and balancing that with basketball season, with girls and boys home games, plus the competitive season. So we are working on that right now.
And Caitlin, just a real quick question. If they're designated as competitive cheer, then they could be counted as the Title IX.
They would be counted, correct.
So,
So I couldn't include those numbers from last year, but they would be included coming up. Obviously, we take academics very seriously. So these are our academic highlights from last year. We had almost 200 fall. These are high school specific with CSA conference. 3.6 unweighted GPA is all conference standings across any level that you participate in, so it doesn't need to be just varsity. So if you are on a freshman team, you still could qualify for all conference selections, which changed last year. So those are fall, winter, spring, all conference, academic all conference. We piloted a program at the high school to track collegiate NCAA standards, which is core classes. So we're tracking 400 students right now, sophomores through seniors, who are on our athletic roster, with their schedules, their GPA, anything that has to do with preparing them for potentially playing at the collegiate level. So right now, the 400 students that we're tracking have an average GPA of a 3.387, which has been great for us to kind of track where we were when we started this and where we're at now. We've already improved that number. Another thing that we're proud of is our weekly eligibility is decreasing with the number of students who appear on the report. So what that means is you have to be passing 5 academic classes at the high school. We're tracking this just at the high school just to see where we're at. We'll probably track middle school next year, which is just 1 failing class would constitute a weekly eligibility. So this past year we were down to 21 athletes out of the 400, 600 plus that we have between athletics and activities. We have 21 athletes that appear on the list at least once, and then 15 from the activities, which has been decreased from 50 when I first started. Last year, or 2 years ago, is when we added the activities to the report. So we are slowly getting that number down. And most of these appeared once or twice. We really didn't have that many over numerous weeks.
And just a quick question though.
Yep.
Sometimes at the beginning of the year, I remember this was an issue a couple years ago I ran into where I learned a situation where beginning of the year when you don't have a lot of grades in the book, right?
Yeah.
So one bad grade could
Right.
question your eligibility. Is that still a concern or?
So we actually, I just sent this email today to our staff. We are running the test tomorrow, so we will do a week's email to let people know where they stand,
I see.
and it will not officially start until next week.
I see. So
we-
conceivably you'd have that week.
Right,
of the-
so you're gonna get 3 to 4 weeks of grades, letting teachers get caught up, letting students adjust their schedules, because we know a week into school, we might switch a schedule. We don't wanna punish a kid for changing that, so we wanna give them a good amount of time to get some grades in the grade book before we start, really tracking. So
Makes sense.
tomorrow, we'll do the Ds and F list, we'll notify parents, guardians, students with where they're at for this week, give them a week to try and get things turned in, get caught up, any of that kind of stuff, work with their teachers. We've really been promoting the tutoring program at the high school with Ms. Dallas. Any of the seniors and juniors working towards the college or the trade school side, we've been working with them, making sure they're getting what they need. So just a collaboration on different fronts, we're trying to make sure that we're hitting everywhere we can with academics.
Yeah, thank you.
When you say the tutoring program with Mrs. Dow are you talking about, tutoring in the library, the tutoring center, or is there a separate program here, and is that available?
So last year it was, they focused on freshmen, with the transition. Seniors who excelled in certain classes were tutors, or they were showing them how to do office hours with the teachers before school. You could go to the tutoring center. There's a couple different avenues, depending on how you learn best. This is middle school athletic achievements. Obviously a handful of successes across the board. Same with high school. Obviously we had a little bit more with the all-conference selections. And we were the UCB Cup champions again across all activities. We had 2 state champions that will recognize the football game on Friday. We had 2 All-Americans this year on all region selection. And our teams did well in the IHSA State Series. And our team state placers, we had one of everything at the high school, although track doesn't give 4th place trophies like other sports do, I still consider them a placer. Girls cross country is ranked number 1 right now, so we're expecting a good year out of them as well. And then middle school, we have the baseball state champions, 8th grade volleyball 2nd, and then boys cross country 4th. Equity, we are continuing to work on all of our equity across the board, staffing with roster sizes, as you mentioned earlier with middle school track. We've gotten high school to a point where we're balancing out what the roster sizes are with the staffing needs and getting those positions hired. This year, we're gonna take a look at middle school track in particular, cross country. Those are huge rosters, they're non-cut sports, and it's a lot of times the first time that 6th graders can really be part of the team and not get cut. So there are 250 kids on the track team, roughly. A lot of it is for socialization, but we do have a very competitive team as well, so we wanna make sure we're staffing that properly. Equipment, going back and forth between what are wants for your sports and what are needs for your sports to play your sport. Obviously, if you're playing basketball, you need a basketball. But there are other technology, there's shooting guns, there's different training tools that could be considered wants. So how are we budgeting for that, working with boosters, fundraising with the teams, different sources of revenue for that kind of stuff. We're gonna look at the middle school budget this year. I'm not sure how long it's been since it was increased, but with inflation and all of that, we need to look at what we can do to help them out, just because they don't have as many fundraising activities as maybe a high school would or support, just because they're a little bit smaller. Things that we've purchased over the last couple of years, we had a new volleyball net system for the high school and training equipment. We've had sideline cameras for soccer and football. We had soccer training nets and goals. Basketball rims we're starting to replace, about 2 a year, just to break them in, get another set going. I don't think those have replaced since I've played here. IHSA just switched to new basketballs, which is a real blow to the budget because those are about $100 a piece, and we have to replace all of them essentially. So we started with 15 this year, which would be a rack that we would pull out for warm-ups for varsity, and then we'll start trickling them down. But essentially, all of the balls that we currently have will not be game balls anymore, and the 2 balls are very different. So that's gonna be fun for them. We purchased golf bags for both teams, pitching machines for baseball, softball, track equipment. We had pole vault last year. I think we're gonna do high jump this year. Like I said, for basketball, shooting guns. So we're trying to hit as many sports as we can to kind of get their wish list knocked down, knowing that we have different constraints in other areas, but what can we do right now to make sure that we're getting these back on cycle?
Maybe.
Oh, there we go. Continue to monitor emerging sports in our area. We are going to probably be talking as a conference about girls flag football in the next 2 years. Knowing that it's going to start trickling down to Peoria, Bloomington, Champaign, coming from Chicago area. At the middle school, girls and boys golf is starting to take off as a team sport. Right now, we might have 1 or 2 individuals that want to play, which we do supply them an opportunity to play in the sectional. And then girls soccer has become a conversation starting out of, I would say, the western part of the state. At the middle school level. So Coach Life worked on a survey last year with a lot of the Central Illinois teams to see who would even be interested in starting middle school, who would be able to afford or have a place to play or any of that type of situation with girls soccer, knowing it would be at the same time as the high school season with coaching and all of that. So you couldn't really take a coach from a high school and put him down at the middle school and kind of make it a major. It'd have to be its own standalone. Scheduling, trying to make sure that we remain equitable across all sports with overnights, competition level, hosting of IHSA sport or state series events. I think we've almost covered every sport since I've been here now, has hosted some level of an IHSA series. Again, focusing on academic partnerships. We are working with Wendy and her office on the implementation of arbiter pay, which we've had up running for about 2 weeks now, and Christine Lanin has been my guinea pig at the middle school because they're the ones playing sports right now, and it's been going really well. It's taking a lot off of my office and her office as far as writing checks and doing everything that has to do with getting people approved or in the system for paying officials. I know officials like it because it's direct deposit right into their account. So we just run reports, we request money, it's on an app, we ask them if they're here, identify yourself, ID, whatever, and we pay them right there. So streamlining that process, looking to move to possibly doing table crew, press box crew, ticket takers in the future, depending on how all that shakes out. And then continue to look at facility needs, upgrades and room for growth. Right now we have 673 students signed up for training and conditioning, which is almost half our school now. So credit to that program for doing what they're doing, but that also causes a lot constraints where we can put people in classes. There's 20 sections of strength and conditioning right now. So we're just working within our means and making sure that we can still do what we can do, and achieve the success that we're achieving, until we're ready to make some more adjustments. Oh, one more slide. IHSA had implemented CPR AED training for all coaches. It was one coach per staff last year, and this year it's now every coach per staff. So we have partnered with the Chatham Fire Department, and they've been awesome about getting us in either private classes or with their once a month class, getting our coaches in and certified. So we've already done over 80, so we have maybe 5 more to go. Shot clock is coming to varsity basketball in 26-27, so we're gonna look at a summer 25 install. That way they can have a year to get used to it before it really changes the game of high school basketball. And then review ticket pricing. We are still at 3 and 5. A lot of the other schools around us have increased to help offset officials' pay, entry fees, equipment, all of this stuff that keeps hitting our budgets. So at some point we'll probably review that with tickets and season passes and all that fun stuff. That is my last slide. Questions?
Yep, any questions?
Last year you initiated 3 Glenwood students at Glenwood High School students
Yep.
at district sporting events. How, and that was an effort to try to get more students to support their fellow student athletes. How did that go? Did you see a positive result?
We did see an increase in students at most events. There were some that were still smaller in attendance, but we did find that when they were getting out of practices, they were more likely to stay after to watch a 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock start, rather than go home and come back with money and all that stuff. So we did see it. Our students do talk about it still for Friday night football coming up. We have announcements for volleyball tomorrow. Just still promoting it and trying to get our kids out to the games to support their classmates.
Was there a noticeable negative impact on our ticket box collections?
Not really.
And then lastly, because I know that we were trying it with high school students, have we considered doing the same for middle school students?
We have not had that conversation yet.
Okay. That's it. That's all I have.
I'm personally glad to hear that you guys are looking at the equity stuff in terms of the coaching and going as far down as the middle school too. So I've had a concern with baseball and softball last couple of years, knowing there's one coach that goes with these kids by themselves, and there's 15 kids, and it's just a lot demand. And when you're at an activity or something like that, and something happens to a coach, then you're done. The game's over with, and you have to go home. So that's something I'm glad you're looking at. And the other thing that's been raised to me is also the uniform situations, and the rotational schedules, and I think you're looking at those, and that's part of that equity thing to
Yep.
see. I hope that you continue to find a solution. Frankly, I've been very disappointed with some of how some of the uniforms look. For a district our size, and as does as well as some of the jerseys we put on some of these kids, and the state of them at that point is kind of laughable. So I'd like to see us for sure be able to figure out how to shorten that window. And in the past, we've done things where the 8th grade team gets new jerseys, so we pass it down to and you're looking at these jerseys that don't even fit 6th grades, small 7th grade kids. So just trying to figure out a way to upgrade that, and however we can help with that, I'd be open to suggestions. It's something that it's always been on my mind that I feel like we don't do a very good job of, that we could, and that's just been an old system. It's an old system of how we I just think it's something very good and easy that we can, address and look after too.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I know the booster clubs even offer to assist and everything else.
superintendent update.
Becky, can you bring Oh, okay. Okay, hopefully this works from this angle. So every 6 months, I provide an update for you, and in the fall one, we're also going to cover some of the required bullying and discipline data that I need to cover for compliance to school policy. So this is an overview of the 23-24 school year. I'm going to hit these buttons way before I need to. Okay, so each time I present, we talk about school visits. So this is my overall visitation schedule from last year. I believe that totals 130 if I can remember correctly. Trying to maintain equity between building visits and also knowing that some buildings with larger staff members is where I am spending sometimes more of my time, and then a lot of time in transportation last year. This is just an overview of my continued community involvement along with my duties as superintendent. I am on an e-board and regular board of the Chatham Area Chamber of Commerce, the Titan Fuel Board, the Ball-Chatham Educational Foundation Board, and the CACC Board of Control, and a member of the JCs, which is where I spend my volunteer hours. Some of the great things that we accomplished last year is we completed the AI plan, and we're rolling that out right now to all staff with opportunities for professional development, but also putting a major focus on AI through our parent communication, as well as having each teacher work with students about this ever-changing new technology and how it's going to affect our student population in their learning environment. We almost completed the renovation of this building. We still have a few things that we're working through. Started the student ambassador group last year. 17 students were selected. We met 4 times. Based on the feedback of the student ambassadors, we will be meeting monthly. And one of our future ambassadors is in the audience, and one apparently needed to leave, but this is Layla Rogers, and Ellie Surgis was also here. They are the student council liaisons to the board, that also gives them an automatic seat to student ambassadors. They asked to have that put into their bylaws last year, and we agreed to that, so they will be our 2 new student ambassadors this year, along with a few other students, but also here to attend board meetings, and we'll be talking to the board at some point during this year. We hired a new director of communications, Mr. Frey, a new CFO, Ms. Galakis over here. So very excited to have them both on board. We've continued that review of all board policies with the policy committee. By my estimation, we've crossed over the halfway mark of the over 294 board policies. So we accomplish about 20 to 30 reviews a month, and then we get a new packet from IASB, and so we have to slow down and address their review as well as our own internal review. Finalized the contract with the BCEA union, successfully implemented the K-8 math curriculum last year. Outstanding results by our scores, just incredibly impressed with the growth that our students had last year with that program. Increased staff communication with our focus on believe is the theme last year. And piloted Here Comes the Bus. Looking forward to a full implementation as soon as the cables come in, and then purchased 19 new to us school buses last year. Looking forward, a renewed focus on the portraits. We have been working with a student artist from UIS and have finalized the graphic, which will be revealed this week as we move forward. Working on our HR plan implementation, developing on our communication plans, and then we will be working on contract negotiations with BCESPA this year. And I think sometimes it happens. Okay, so moving into the those required components of bullying and discipline data, we had 64 incidences of bullying last year, which was comprised of 52 aggressors. We had 232 out-of-school suspensions last year and 4 expulsions. We consider this now our baseline data because when we pulled the data the previous year, we discovered some inconsistencies in Skyward and too many. I think I brought to you that we had 200 discipline codes, and so what I considered something to be, and what you might call it, really hindered our ability to have good data. We have now, since even we refined last year and we've refined again at the beginning of this year, looking at this data and discovering some problems within that data so that we will continue to have better data sets that we can now start making comparisons from year to year. Tiny text, but what is the breakdown of OSS? And so by incident, how many different things that we experienced. So we took a big deep dive on vaping with student ambassadors and looking and working with high school staff as to that issue. Also looking at, well, all of them we're looking at, but just looking at ways to lessen all of these as we move forward. In our bullying data, there's the count per building. Again, those 64 incidences and 52 aggressors. So some demographic data that I'm required to share with you about predominantly our aggressors are male versus female and the number of incidences per building. Other facilities are incidences that may have occurred at off-site facilities like CACC that our students participate in that came back to us. Looking at the number of incidents by location, so we track where these things are happening to also glean how we can further address the issue. So whether it's the bathroom, in the classroom, hallway, playground, those types of things, so that we know where to target our efforts and to increase professional development on these issues. Also looking at the frequency of race of aggressors and the type of bullying. So was it sex-based? And when I say sex-based, that's using the new Title IX definition. So sex-based now includes sexual harassment or any bullying or harassment related to gender, gender identity, or gender identity. And then whether it was race, religion, disability, or other. Included in other could be that it is not classified, or the expanded parameters under Title IX, which could be harassment related to pregnancy, parenting, military status, and a long list of other items that now we have to classify as we collect this data. I hit the button, I promise I did. So our goal this year is one team, one goal. And so that will be our focus this year is, as a district, is to unify ourselves for the betterment of our student body. Any questions?
Can I say one thing? So I was super disappointed to see that the majority of our bullying incidents happen in the classroom as opposed to other places. And it makes me concerned about culture and professional development. And so my encouragement would be, as we move forward in our portrait of an educator and our portrait of a graduate, that we keep that number in mind, because that's where our kids have the most supervision, not the least supervision. And the types of bullying, I don't even see how they lend themselves to happening in a supervised classroom.
So what I can say to that is that many times those are online events, and not until the students come together into the classroom does that online content interact between those two students while they're in that classroom, because they're now together. Often at the middle school and high school, they don't see each other until they enter that classroom and there's been a post made or something has happened, and so it comes to a head while those two students now are in the same proximity as each other. And so that is a new tracking data point for the state, is that we now have to break down cyber events versus non-cyber events. So we'll be seeing that next year in new required reporting for the state. But as I looked at the 64 incidences and read each one of them to try and look through those patterns, we do a lot of our situations are coming from outside of our building into the building because of posts to social media.
So I guess I would also say that students are spending the vast majority of their time with us in the classroom.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's partially a math thing.
It's also more,
I would
more
think.
heavily observed in that
Mhm.
situation.
We're
so.
catching it more.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense also, okay.
But I agree, it's a data point that we definitely need to address and figure out, does that mean we're underrepresented in the hallway, so we're not seeing it? Or, I know that right now the high school has changed their security patterns, and our security staff now have desks stationed at crossroads in the hallway so that they are more visible and present in those hallway areas, so we could possibly anticipate that hallway could go up next year, because we might see that more, because we made some changes to try and address underrepresented areas. Bathrooms are always a challenge with staff gender. We don't have adults in locker rooms and bathrooms very often, because we have one female security officer, and so the rest are males. So but we're being cognizant of trying to make that balance so that we can provide better security and service to our students. So all of those things that we're doing, hopefully, unfortunately, may raise other numbers, and at the same time, starting that conversation about what is happening in classrooms, why are they happening? And so I think it's also looking at what the actual event was that occurred versus just the number, because it provides more information.
I have a question about the OSS data
Yes.
tables, and those categories that we're tracking reflect a paring down of categories?
No.
Am I understanding that correctly? No.
Those are last year's.
Okay.
And they're still too broad.
Yeah.
Because there's too many of them. So just this week, looking at this data and having conversations, so what you'll see in the one that that hit upon this conversation was our weapon items. So we have weapon / handgun, weapon other than a handgun or firearm, and weapon. So if it's not a gun, then, and it's not other, what is it, and why do we have yet another code for that? So that's the one that kicked it off, that I looked at and said, that doesn't make sense, that we have two things that are the same thing. So we have a data point problem right there. So we just met with the assistant principals this week and had the conversation about the need to continue to get down to less and define what each one of these items actually means, so that we have consistency when we're coding things. I'm not sure that maybe some of the drug or paraphernalia items weren't vaping, and someone chose that. So a vape pen could have gone under as paraphernalia versus vaping, because it was the object. They weren't caught in the act of vaping, but they may have been caught with a vape pen. The elementary had pared down last year to 11. The middle school and high school staff did work yesterday to get this pared down and to make more consistency as we continue to try and bring better data sets, so that we can actually address our concerns. When we have bad data, it's very hard to address that, and so that's just the continued work. We had 200. We got down to, I don't know what the count on this is, maybe, I'm gonna guess 35, 40 maybe. I'm counting and talking at the same time. Our goal is to get down to even less, and really then start diving into the work of safer environments, professional development, and addressing the needs of our kids.
Yeah, because physical contact doesn't make sense
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Um,
With that injury and then.
And then
I know.
also,
Yeah.
and then I think the other question that I have related to this paring down, is it also in consultation with like the security staff? Like, are they weighing in on any of this decisions and how it gets classified and all those other things? Or is it just, and this is literally a
Yeah.
question, or is it just like building level
So
admin working on this?
our security staff does not participate in the discipline of students.
Okay.
So they were not part of that consultation because all discipline is issued by school administration. Our security staff supports, monitoring and, addressing issues, but not the actual discipline of students.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thanks. 10.4, enrollment update.
So every year, we do a 6-day enrollment presentation. It's just a key data point. It's the 6th day of school. We tend to know where kids are or are not, if they're coming back or if they're not coming back. Of course, our mobility continues to change too, so every day is different, so we had to pick a consistent day, and this is the day that the district has used for the last 15+ years to pull some attendance data. Maybe? Any chance you can?
Can you hit
that
the button?
maybe?
Just hit the arrow.
Okay. Oh, I knew that,
See when
okay.
you're late on your
So,
end.
oh, now we're gonna have some real fun.
Just one.
Okay, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Okay, so our 6-day enrollment total for this year was 4472. That is down 143 kids from the 6-day enrollment total from last year. Why? There are some good rationale for that, and it is not because students are leaving the district in disgruntlement. So our outgoing senior class last year on the 6-day count was 380. We graduated about 350. The discrepancy there is that kids move. Some of our students who are receiving special ed services stay with us longer than that count day. So, however, our incoming kindergarten class this year was 240. So right there, we saw that drop. We saw just minor changes then amongst other grade levels with kids moving in and out of the city or the boundaries of our district and staying in state, or kids moving out of state or somewhere else in the state. We've had this conversation before. Many of our families are delaying marriage, delaying having students or children. The trend is no longer to have multiple children and families. We see many, many single child families now. We also, as inflation increases, the housing pricing within our district is often not attainable for young families, and so for those reasons, among others, while we have all of these platted subdivisions with approval for building, the building has been very slow for the last 2 years. So hopefully that changes over time. So they're definitely have approval, but I know particularly one subdivision that had a 3-year permit and didn't manage to get their houses built within that 3-year permit, and has re-permitted with the city of Springfield to continue building because the building rate was just so slow as we go forward. I think that might be the end of it, so that is our enrollment count.
Any questions or comments?
Okay, so I see our board members down here looking at the chart. Remembering you have to go diagonally across the chart. If you're going horizontally across the chart, that's different cohorts of kids. So you're watching it come down diagonally to see actual change.
You'll actually notice that a lot of classes increased.
Yeah. It really is that outgoing senior class is just so much larger than every year incoming. We've had a steep decline now from our current 8th grade class down to kindergarten. Every year is smaller and smaller. That trend is absolutely evident.
So I think as long as we're doing comparisons to how, enrollment is trending in other area districts and we're similar.
The entire downstate, the majority of downstate Illinois is seeing this trend in every school district in Saginaw County, definitely.
I hear you, I just am saying that I think we just always have to be watching that, and as long as we know that our decline is, similar to, you know, other area schools, then we don't have something bigger we have to explore. Yeah.
And we watch that.
I figured, I just, for what it's worth.
And I also watch the Saginaw County birth rate very closely, which is dropping. Any other comments?
All right, thank you. 10.5 is also an information or communication item, and that is IESB board governance recognition. So I am really pleased to share, even though I'm not smiling. I'm exhausted. I'm really pleased to share that this board has earned the Illinois Association of School Boards board governance recognition for this year. We are one of 46 boards to receive this recognition, and the first time in our district's history to receive this recognition as well. It is a 2-year process that involves looking at how we work and function as a board, doing some professional development, all designed to help us better serve the community and better work together. So I'm really proud of this board for that work. 2 years is a long time to be engaged in this type of work. Part of that work has also included some of the policy review that is happening. The student ambassador program sort of grew out of this work. We also developed a new board member orientation program as part of this work, really all designed to allow board members to kind of, one, hear from the community better, but also once they're elected and seated, to be able to show up on day one and really serve the community in the best way. So I'm gonna stop talking in case others have anything that they want to add, but yeah.
I definitely want to add something. So, I was a new superintendent and Tiffany came to me and said, I want to do this, I want us to work towards this. And it was the hard work of each one of our board members, each one of you, that made this possible, because it was a very long process that touched so many aspects of the work that you do, and the effort that you were willing to put in to make that happen, I think is just amazing, and a testimony to the way that you function as a board and how you have the best interest of our district and our students in your heart, with every action that you take. And as the superintendent, I appreciate that tremendously. It is an honor to work with you every day, and this just helps the icing on the cake to the work that I know that you've done for the last 2 years. So thank you, and thank you for shining a spotlight on our district.
I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with everybody on the board. This is a great board, I think. I've been on a few, and they've all been really good, but a lot of this, you know, the credit goes to Tiffany. She's a great president. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better president, and did a phenomenal job, and I appreciate all the hard work you're doing. Now, one thing you realize as a board member is, you know, as a regular board member, you can spend as much or little time as you really want to monthly basis. But as a president, at least 100 times more work goes into being a president of the school board. And I really want to say that you've done a great job, put in the hard work, and now we're seeing the results of that with this award, so thank you.
All right. late somewhere, maybe in here, we don't know. We didn't discuss
It'll be
this.
by our clock.
That's right.
So yes. All right, moving on, 10.6 is our future board meeting dates. On Monday, September 9th, the Parent-Teacher Advisory Board Committee will hold its first meeting at 6 o'clock here in the district office. On Wednesday, September 11th at 4 o'clock, the Facilities and Ground Committee will meet here. On Tuesday, September 17th at 4 o'clock, the Finance Committee will meet here. On Monday, September 23rd, there will be a special meeting in Town Hall on class size. And the location is to be determined, but will definitely be announced.
Just quickly, can we just clarify, that's not a special board meeting, that's a
Correct.
special policy
Policy
committee.
committee.
Yeah.
Special policy committee, yes, thank you. And then on Wednesday, September 25th at 6:30 is our next regularly scheduled board meeting. All right, we made it, y'all. 10.7.
And can I just ask a
Yep.
quick
Yep.
question? So the location's to be determined because we are looking for, I guess I'm gonna question comment, because we're looking for an appropriate space so we are sure that we can accommodate a larger crowd if we happen to have enough interest to have a larger crowd. We obviously have more space in here, but just wanna be sure that we have enough space for everyone that might wanna attend if they can, and with some renovations in the auditorium, which might be the obvious choice for a space. We're just in search of another location, so, because that won't be an option for that time frame. So that's
Well, we
just
don't
the
know
reason.
that it will be an option.
Oh, we don't know, right,
Right.
so that's why it's TBD.
All right, 10.7 is an opportunity for visitors to address the school board concerning any topic. Hi.
I'm just gonna if that's okay, because I think I wanna just bounce off of what Ms. Straley said regarding the bullying incidents in the classroom. I think the reason that's reported so much higher is because our teachers are trained to notice, to see, to be observant, to deal with those things as they happen, where when you're in an unstructured area, you're not gonna see, it's not all, kids don't always self-report, but when a teacher catches it. So I'm really glad to see that those incidents are higher in a classroom setting because of that. So that's just a thought that I had while I was sitting here. Second thing is I want to invite you all to come out and check out the new elementary playgrounds when you have an opportunity. The kids love the playgrounds. It has been so good for the play, the active play that's happening. They're interactive, they're having a great time, and it's just made a huge difference in our schools and our playgrounds. So thank you, it's really awesome.
Anyone else? All right, this is the longest meeting we've had in a long time.
Our
Section
senior
of.
ambassador was here to witness.
So kudos to you for sitting through it.
All right, section 11 is an adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.